Welcome to Presente, a space and community that vibes on being in the moment, something we are relearning how to do in a fast-moving world.
We are excited to be part of a growing movement that talks about topics that we feel haven't been talked about in our Latin culture and womanhood.
Be present with us. Take a pause and break down societal norms.
Redefine the meaning of existing. Welcome to Presente, the podcast.
We have a self-care aficionado joining us today. Karen Santana, CEO and founder of Self-Care Lover, joins in on the conversation about romanticizing life. What a treat it is to have her on the show. Please stay tuned.
Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of Presente. Where would we be without the power of love? We don't really need a month to acknowledge its existence, but we can talk about ways to amplify our lives during the month of February. Check out our previous episodes for internal self-awareness to be able to love from within and express outwardly. Today, we remind you that beyond inner self-love, there's also appreciation for the world we live in. Today's topic is about romanticizing life. Happy February. We would like to share and amplify Black voices here on the podcast. You matter, and so does everything you do in the world that we live in.
What is romanticizing life? For today's episode, we go into romanticizing life. This has been a trending topic as of lately. From what I've known it to be self-care love, it's now taken a different term called romanticizing your life. And I actually really love it. When I think of romanticizing your life, it is to feel good, to love yourself and celebrate yourself. It is the tiniest things, the simpler things that make you happy, make you smile. To romance your life is to fall in love with your life and to fall in love with yourself. To know that even on the tougher days, a simple act of kindness can provide joy and comfort. Our previous episode of healing your inner child is to love thyself in the ways that make you feel good. Part of healing is nurturing that love within you. And I love that we can now transition from identifying that healing your inner child is to love yourself. So in this episode, we're going to take on more of what it is to romanticize your life.
So, romanticizing life. This is a trend that began on social media. Romanticizing life is to wake up with the main character energy in your own world. It is to do what makes you feel best and enjoy life's pleasures. What would you do if you had all the freedom in the world? It's about finding peace within and in most areas of your life. It's as Google says, it's putting yourself in the path of beauty or seeing all the beautiful things that life has to offer.
Why is romanticizing your life important?
Romanticizing your life is important because it aligns you to who you would like to become and helps you live in the beauty you wish to surround yourself with. It also helps you decide your own version of success without anyone else's opinions. It's also a way to carve out what kind of main character you would like to be in your own world. How do they wake up? How do they go about their day? What is the mood or feeling you want to wake up to throughout your day? What are we attracting in our day?
Oh, the beauty of loving yourself and living for yourself. When we care for ourselves and prioritize our needs of happiness, in return, you feel good. It is important to realize that how we treat ourselves helps in enormous ways, such as primarily our health. Secondly, futuristic plans and goals we may have. And ultimately, caters to our environment. You glow differently when you're loved, when you're happy. Please always remember this and live by it. Ways you can romanticize your life. So, what are some ways that you can romanticize your life? For starters, self-care days. Oh, how much I love them. They can put you at much comfort and ease. For example, spa days, exercising, massages, showers, sex, or no sex, a good nap, and some sleep. By also doing some of your favorite things or learning something new that you've been wanting to do, that can also assist with romancing your life a bit. Traveling is always good, a nice getaway away from home, away from work, dates
Hmm.
with family and friends, doing your favorite hobbies, and that can vary from person to person, totally fine. And sometimes, guys, simply doing nothing at all. Another thing you can add on to that list is quieting of the mind. Meditation is always a good thing. Highly recommend that as well if you're able to. Also, no electronics, minimum to no noise. That's actually one of the things I do enjoy. A major one that is priceless, but I highly recommend is to practice gratitude. Positive affirmations and self talk is a nice way to show love to yourself. It just boosts confidence and happiness and joy, and just giving you a positive mindset and outlook as you go about your day. Having these healthy habits is important. It's necessary and crucial to live a better, happier, and healthier life. It's
Hmm.
also just the little reminders that make all the difference. It's true what they say, it's the little things that matter.
So I definitely agree with the list that you came up with for romanticizing your life and the ways that you can do it. The art of doing nothing sometimes is fabulous. Like one of these days that I get home, sometimes I just like to lay on my rug and just be like, God, thank you for today. And that's all I need to do. Just lay here and rest and recharge myself. Some other things that I would like to add on to ways that you can romanticize your life is to take yourself on a date. This is something like going to your favorite restaurant or movie, treating yourself like the lux you are, or can even be small gestures like hiking mountains or going to your favorite park, stopping to read a book. As Miley Cyrus says, I can buy myself flowers. Another way that you can do it is expanding your mind. You can read things or listen to podcasts like our podcast to help guide your journey and uplift the idea or your version of what your version of beauty is. One book I recommend for this is actually the Hygge book, which is all about cozy lifestyle living and cozy environments within your own home or places that you want to visit by Mike Viking. I believe I said that his last name correctly. Another way is to set up your space for good vibes. You can create a mood to walk into or get up every day to. Maybe you need to change your surroundings to romanticize your mornings and your evenings. I remember once when I was living with my parents, how many times my room changed because, there were versions of me evolving and I wanted the energy surrounding me to match what I was feeling internally. And I just started incorporating little things in my room, such as cozy neon lighting or candles, fairy light, etc., because those things just made me feel at peace when I walked into my space. Another way is to move into alignment. If you have somewhere you're trying to live or an area that you want to go to that matches your idea of romance, try it out. Move to that city, move to that suburban area that you feel more aligned to. I know there's a lot of YouTubers that I follow that have moved on to cottage homes and just living more out where nature is closer and overlooking the mountains. Other ways are to do hobbies and creative outlets. Do little things that you are curious about and get creative. All it takes is 15 minutes a day. And if you don't want to do anything for the fact of reaching a goal and you just simply want to do it because it brings joy, then do it. I know there's a lot of creators out there that just do watercolor or content creation on certain topics. Some people want to learn about plants, etc. So do little things that make you feel good. Those hobbies that you've always wanted to try, give them 15 minutes of your time and see how much of a positive joy that brings to your idea of romanticizing life. I want to say that for me personally, it's been creating art more. This moment, I am creating foil art, which I've really been enjoying. Something else I would like to talk about is the art of noticing, realizing nature's beauty all around, to stop and to pause, look at the way the trees sway, flowers, the greenery, or romanticizing each season. For example, I'm not a winter gal. Even though it's the season I was born in, it's not my favorite season, but I'm learning ways on how to romanticize each season. The fall brings about these beautiful orange colors in the trees, pumpkin spice lattes, if you love that, little things that romanticize the seasons. For Christmas time and, the winter, we get the beautiful fallen snow, hot chocolate, all these little things, that, help romanticize your life.
I love how you place to romanticize by the seasons, because you kind of just find yourself at some point like how to go about it. This doesn't have to be the same thing every day. The seasons bring a nice touch to things.
Yeah, I want to say that this year I focused on the elements of winter. I want to say, despite it being the new year, it shifted my perspective. Maybe I don't love winter, but understanding the feelings or the feeling of winters, and what it embodies and, what it comes along with. And, same thing for every other season. Every other season has its own feeling, its own vibe. So definitely try to see the art of noticing, like, your space, your environment, your season that you're in, all of that. Another one is definitely to recharge. Take a moment to recharge yourself. Think about this. If you don't let your phone or devices run out of batteries, then don't do it to yourself. People automatically assume that if you rest, that is a form of laziness. And the truth is no. That is just how society constructed that use. I am no longer wearing badges of honor for burnout. No thanks. Not I, not I. Move at a pace that best suits us as individuals. That is something, that we can do. Something else is what Jennifer mentioned is, connecting to your inner child. Per our last episode, we talked about being the adult that your inner child needed. I have seen many people on social media do this. They're in touch to, with their inner child. And lastly, is to seek love within yourself. A relationship that starts with yourself is important before we commit to other people, because they say that when you make friendships or that when you are in a relationship with others, you are matching the energy of the person that you met or, you're in a committed relationship with. Your energies have to match. So it's really important to love yourself and understand that loving yourself means also going deep, like we spoke about in our last episode with shadow work, where we have to also, find those qualities that we don't necessarily like and reroute them to, better ways of living and growing so that we can have a better relationship with other people.
Hi, my name is Santana. I am here with Presente podcast, and I'll be sharing a little bit more about myself, my brand Self Care Lover, and much more on Romanticize Your Life.
Today, we have a very special guest, Miss Karen Santana, CEO of Self Care Lover. We are super excited to have you on here as we discuss romanticizing your life. For February in itself, we are talking about love and self-love and community. I thank you so much, Karen, for being with us here today. Truly an honor to have you on Presente. Thank you for your time and your support. One of the reasons why I decided with Jissela, like, hey, we should have Karen on this show is because she is someone that embraces self-care as a daily lifestyle. I think that's pretty cool. I think more people ought to be aware of it and follow in those steps because it's a lot of important to nurture yourself. So Karen, thank you so much for being on here. Let us know a little bit about yourself and what led to the start of Self Care Lover.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Jennifer and Gisela, for the invite. I'm super excited to be on here. And so just a little bit about myself. So currently I am a international trade and tech professional working for automotive company, but I'm also the founder, as Jennifer mentioned, the founder of Self Care Lover. It's a women's community that basically what it does is to bring women back to the basics of self-development, wellness, and finance, because I think those are the three core pillars that will drive any woman to become successful in life. And you cannot do one without the other. One of the reasons why I started Self Care Lover, actually, I want to take a step back to go back to me being a kid, me being a young Latina, growing up first generation in the United States, looking at my surroundings, not having those direct examples of what it is to become that person that I wanted to be in the future. I think a lot of it had to do with me figuring it out, step by step. My parents, hardworking class people, just like I think a lot of people can relate to that. They did the best that they could, and they always knew education was super important. My mom always is a big, I think I take a lot of the strong woman, go-getter from her. And with the little bit that she was able to teach me, I think that kind of propelled me to always want more out of life. How I started Self Care Lover was I said, okay, I feel like in life I've always done all these steps without even realizing that I was actually taking care of myself throughout the process. So even if finances wasn't something that was discussed at home, I know it was important, right, for me to want to build the life that I wanted and feel comfortable, because I think it kind of starts with having a very positive relationship with your finances and being okay with, kind of like head on noticing, what you need to get there. I knew wellness was very important. I know that physical health was just as important as mental health along the process. I think, in our community as Latinos and within the Black and Brown communities overall, I don't think, mental health was always a thing we talked about because it always seemed to be taboo. But I always knew that was super important to be able to develop yourself. And then on just the overall self-development for me, and why that was also another proponent of that, I feel like I've always done it without realizing that I was developing myself. I think I resorted a lot to whether it was YouTube, I call them my YouTube mentors like Robin Sharma, or it was someone that I worked with that inspired me, or it was probably a college professor that embodied that person that I wanted to be, or whether it was maybe a celebrity. But I felt like I never had a real life person or a lot of those examples in real life. And so for me, creating this brand was about to bring all these subject matter experts in all these areas, but our day-to-day women, no one that it was just that you found on TV. Part of it is like you coming to, whether it's on my Instagram for my business or whether you come to an event, my goal is to always bring all these women that are subject matter experts, but that are relatable. And I think that's very important to bring to other women that, yes, it's possible for her. And she's a regular woman like you are. It's also possible for you. And you shouldn't limit yourself because whether you're a mom or you're in the corporate world or you're first generation or you feel like your environment doesn't create that for you, Self Care Lovers definitely here to create that for the everyday multifaceted woman.
That is right. Spot on. I love how you place emphasis in that because you have to give back to yourself. And it is so true what you were saying in reference to it not being something we're sort of taught. Growing up in a Latina home, it's always been more so like survival mode, how to make sure that there's food on the table, a roof over your head. Yes, education, a priority, and so is work. Like workaholics. I think we look up to our parents and they're like workaholics. It's crazy. And we tend to put ourselves last, at least seeing that in our parents, but not realizing that even the smaller things on our upbringing, how we go about our days, how we interact with others, all those ways actually were, we say, romanticizing your life. The little sweet things that just bring pleasure, joy. So I totally get it. I think that others should understand that. If not, learn more about it, learn more about themselves. I love that Self-Care Lover is like a very well-rounded out mission of yours, from self-caring to yourself, your finance, wellness. It is all important because it can be an imbalance. And that imbalance does create catastrophe in terms of stress and mental health and feeling overwhelmed. Hey, we've all been there. That's something that it's okay to discuss and be transparent about. Self-care lover just wants you to kind of flourish, in all ways. And I think that's truly important, especially as you get older and go about your daily life. Quick backstory is Karen and I met through a very incredible person. Shout out to Jasmine Johnson.
Jazz.
Jazz, yes. I love how you put out there a term that I think many women should know is, I think it's sister in success or something like that.
Sister
That is
success.
so dope. I love it. Once again, you and your mission just really like has a strong community and it's very inspirational. But we met through one of Jasmine's yoga event, and this was a few years back, and we've actually remained in contact. I've gotten to know Karen and see her business hat and how she just gives back to her community. I think it's super important and very courageous of you. For our listeners out there, if you want to know a little bit more about Self-Care Lover, Karen is here. And if you can, please walk us through some of the type of like gathering and events, projects that you include and that your organization partakes in.
Yeah, for sure. I would say, let me just start off with my first event that I did back in 2020. So I think self-care and part of the movement of this definitely started during the pandemic. And I think a lot, like many of us, started a lot of passion projects throughout that time because we definitely had more time in our hands. But in my first event, actually, we were going through elections at that time or getting ready. It was the first time that I ever did anything, to that magnitude. But I had a really great turnout. So we had guest speakers that talked about the importance of voting during that time. So we try to bring relatable topics as well that I think we need to be educated on as well, whatever is going on around that time. I also had a very good friend that she came in and she actually wrote a book series called Self Care. So Wellness for Self Care. And her brand is actually called The Wellness Universe. So she has these 4 books, which I can definitely share with Jennifer and Jissela. I actually did a small, very publication there and rating for her as well. So I have a little stamp in one of the books. And actually that book did so much for me. So it was called The Wellness Universe, Self Care to Happiness, and how to look for happiness within your life. So I'll definitely share more about that. But with my events, they try to do a very either focused or on a larger level, kind of embody a little bit of everything from the brand. So the first one had to do the overall round of self-care, about joy, about mental health, about talking about current issues that we need to take importance of. But what the beauty of it too is I try to incorporate small businesses. And for me, that's huge, especially small women-owned businesses. That is something you're going to find in each and every event. I'm going to have small vendors there. I would say as of now, I'm very thankful to the one above for this one because I feel like every woman that has been able to put a little bit of their small business on there has always had a great turnout. And for me, that is the ultimate satisfaction because that's also creating awareness for other women. I had another event the following year and I actually had Jasmine on there as well. The core topic was about finance and understanding the basics of even using credit to your advantage, things that we don't think about. So we see credit as a negative thing, but we don't ever see the positive things about credit and how to utilize it to our advantage. So we had Alita on there. She's in the corporate world as well in finance, but she also focuses empowering younger communities to have better financial stability and awareness of how to do this. Because I don't think as I said before, we don't really learn this as a child, but we definitely have to find vehicles or tools and people that kind of help us there. I also had Jasmine, where she kind of encompassed like how to find ways during financial stress of how to calm yourself, which that was very important as well. And my last event, and I know Jennifer, we had you on there as well. It was my vision board. It's part of you romanticizing and creating the life that you want. You also have to be very intentional about creating those visions for yourself. And for me, that's super important. It's something I embody. I actually created a really great guide. Anyone that's tuning in right now, definitely check it out both in my page and in my self-care page. I created a guide that is about how to create a actionable vision board. Because I think we tend to create these crazy and great visions. And I'm not saying no one cannot accomplish them, but I think we need to be very clear as to where we are in life now, right? Where we are in life now. And how do we take action on those steps within the year so that
Yeah.
then we can bring those huge visions that we have, whether it's that $50 million home we want in 10 years from now,
Yes.
or whether that is that car, or even we don't think about things like, what, how do I create a better routine for myself when I'm under distress? We don't think about putting things like that on our vision board. And maybe that's what we should be working on and not worrying so much about the materialistic stuff. So part of my events is always that you leave. One, you're having fun, there's always food, some drinks, there's girl time, but also I want you to leave with that you learned something that you could apply to your own self. So that is something that you're going to find at all self-care lover events. And what I do is that I never really make it about me, although I did embody a lot of these things for myself. I always bring the subject matter experts in these areas that are going to be the vehicle that are going to help you and so that you can gain some of those tools and incorporate them in your life. So I would say that is basically what encompasses that about Self-Care Lover. And then again, just share a lot of great content on our pages that kind of help you a little bit with how to apply some of these strategies into your life as well.
Amazing. I must say, I have been an attendee at your events. I had such a great time. You make it so fun, social, just like chill and ease, and definitely focused on what you're trying to accomplish and convey to everyone there, and how you then, transcend that over to your social media platform. I had a really great time. And it's funny that you mentioned the vision boards, because we should have had you on our episodes earlier in January, where we also discussed vision boards and the importance of that and journaling, just kind of getting that vision ahead and fine tuning it along the way, whatever it is. But I like how you highlight it doesn't have to always be like a materialistic. First things first, you come first. And again, coping through stress and just life in itself, it's kind of interesting how you don't think of that when you're creating these things. I'll keep that in mind as well as I go along. That's truly kind of eye-opening and an awakening in itself. Thank you for that. And I highly recommend anytime that Karen does have an event, you'll find something to take away with. Definitely attend, be on the lookout, because your events are very satisfying. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
I really love the community that you have built with Self-Care Lover. I think that, as Jennifer said, being well-rounded in all these areas, that our parents just did not have the time to be well-rounded in, which is something we actually spoke about in a previous episode on breaking generational curses or cycles, which is super important to learn about financial literacy, what a Roth IRA is, and all these new topics that we never, heard about. It was just like, oh, go to work, get paid, etc., and repeat. But no, there's other ways to branch out and to take care of your mental health, which you're right, we never discussed these topics, when we were growing up. And I also love that you mentioned vision board, because as Jennifer said, that was our episode a couple of episodes ago here on Presente. And I actually spoke about that. And I like how you said, keep it realistic, but also embody the feeling that you want to place into the year that you are in, because I also said something very similar to that. I'm like, it's good to, I think, keep your vision board present to like the year itself and the goals you want to achieve for the year, rather than like, don't limit yourself, but like have all these big things in mind. So something I actually like to do is to organize the visuals for each vision board, is to kind of have like a future folder, for things you might want to add to later, and then your present folder, like things you want to work on at this moment, at this time. Something I'm going to lead with: why should people want to romanticize their life, and in what ways can they do this?
And I really love this question, because I think that we always think that romanticizing your life is when things are perfect. And I don't really think that's the reality of it. If that were to be the case and the world would be perfect overall, then we don't even need to romanticize our life, because our life is being romanticized in every aspect. So I would say is finding the beauty within the moments of the every Monday things. Few examples that I can give you is like in the morning, I know I have a long commute to work, those days that I have to go into the office. So I get excited, right? I make my cafecito in the morning and I know how I love it, right? I have my little quick skincare routine, prior to like, as soon as I get out of the shower, that I romanticize, like, okay, while I'm in there, I'm listening to probably a podcast or even the word of the day, whatever you believe in. Hearing that and starting my day on a positive note. Do I know how the day's gonna go? No, but I know that this is how I want to start my day. It could be, you know what? I have a long commute. Instead of me being like, I hate my commute and it's so annoying. It's like, okay, I look at it. You know what? I get an hour to myself on my way to work. So what am I gonna do? I'm either gonna put on my favorite playlist that I love, or I'm gonna listen to a podcast because maybe you know what? I just had a very long week and maybe I need some inspiration along the way. So I think romanticizing your life is not about having your days to be perfect, but finding the perfect moments in between and creating things for yourself that you look forward to while you're going
Yes.
through the everyday. And I think one important thing about that is, we always think about how life should be, but a lot of times instead of thinking, I think we need to take action in between those moments. So I would say, I think, and I try to always be a little realistic in my social media pages because sometimes being very aesthetically pleasing can give off the vibe that my life may be perfect, but I can be
Mhm.
totally brutally honest here. It's definitely not. I have my things with my family, some issues. Maybe I had a blown out week at work that it was not working out, but what I try to do and what I try to incorporate a lot is showing people, hey, these are things that you can do while you're going through these moments of distress, while you're in the everyday Monday things to life. And part of that, I just think about me and my younger self in college when I didn't know what the light
Mhm.
at the end of the tunnel was, right? I always had this vision of who I wanted to become, but my current environment wasn't really showing me that. My current environment, I remember my parents had gone through a separation during that time. I was taking 5 courses. I was working a full-time job. I barely had any time to myself. But in between those moments within my journey, I always remember I need to take a time for myself and kind of like enjoy the process as well. It sounds very easy to say, right? But it's not as easy
Mhm.
to do. So I think romanticizing your life really has to do with finding moments within the mundane everyday things and making and creating that dream or that inspiration within your life. So I think that's how I like to embody romanticizing my life. I think that's also very particular to that person as well of how they want. So while for me, my skincare routine might be my favorite thing to do, maybe for that person is like, you know what, that's too many steps for me. Maybe for that person is like, I just want to wash my face and put my regular moisturizer and that's it. But maybe for that person is, you know what, I want to have a cup of tea, and that's how I want to create, that moment of pleasantness, right before bed. Or it could be, you know what, I had a long day. So, you know what, I have 30 minutes. Let me go watch my favorite show. Let me look for that inspiration
Mhm.
in my favorite character. So I would say, while I show my examples of what that means to me, I think it's also important that you find yourself what brings you joy in those mundane things that you do every single day. And that for me is romanticizing your life.
Definitely. I think finding those small moments that add value, that amplify you really do make a difference with the 9 to 5 world we live in.
Yes.
It's definitely not easy, with the whirlwind and the mixture of life that we are in, trying to fulfill dreams, trying to also work our 9 to 5, maintain our homes, and go run errands and all these other things. But definitely to incorporate those little elements, like whether it be, like you said, your cafecito, your tea, tu té, all of that is very important. So this is a fun next question for you. So what are you think are your top 3 must-haves that you recommend to anybody on a given day? And just for added fun, Jennifer and I could also maybe answer this question just so our listeners can get a point of view of each of us.
So here are my top three. I think for me, and as we know, it's something I advocate a lot for is creating a self-care routine that I can follow every day that brings me joy. So for me, it's in the morning having my skincare routine, having the nice shower with my favorite soap. It's putting that lotion, giving myself that love in the morning, doing the same thing at night. I try to keep a very similar routine so I don't have to overthink so much, but it's also going to the gym for me. You know, I had a long day and I know that the gym helps me bring myself back to normal. I think the other one for me also is I like to find either books, but mainly podcasts, because I think sometimes with having so much to do, whether it's you have your 9 to 5 and, you know, you have all these organizations on the side, sometimes maybe the podcast where I can listen to. And I have a few that I really love a lot as well. I'm glad now that Presente is on here and now I can also incorporate it because I think you guys have really great topics from what I've seen so far. Definitely look forward to hearing this later on. But for me, I have something that I have a podcast for every portion of my life. So I have one. I love fashion and I love lifestyle. So I have my fashion Vogue one that I listen to every day. Then I have Life with Mariana that I listen to. I also have my self-development one, which is like Robin Sharma and one from Jay Shetty because I think or Mel Robbins, right? That I like to listen to. And then I also have one that I listen to because you need to keep up a little bit with what's going on in the world. You cannot be blinded. And I don't really listen to the news, but I like the New York Times has a really good podcast that gives me a little bit of, okay, I just need the snippet of what's going on today. Good. Now I can move on with my life and focus on everything else. And the last one for me is really being around people, places, and things that bring me joy. So I think one of the hardest things that I've done in the past, and I'm sure you ladies as well, is being able to audit people. They're not helping me in that journey to romanticize my own life and creating that positive environment for ourselves. Because again, like I said, life is hard as it is. Why are you going to spend it with people, places, and things that kind of make you feel worse about yourself? And I think it's all about amplifying and making yourself better overall. So I would say those are my top three. I could definitely bring more, but I would say those are at least the top three things that I try to do every single day for myself.
I love everything that you said in terms of like your routine and amplifying yourself. I think it's also very important that you mentioned to not be blinded by like what's happening in the world. Like it's good to remain aware. It's good to, because when we remain aware, I feel like this is where the power of community comes in hand in ways that we as humans, people can assist or support other things that are happening in the world, especially, you know, with things happening right now in Palestine and all of that, you know, supporting Black voices, the brown community, all of that is super important. Presente, you know, we wanted to build a community that not only talks about being in the moment and being present, but also to help and support other communities that have those same missions and values. For me, it's a little bit on the more simpler side because I actually am a little bit more of an introvert. For me, my romanticizing life formula is cozy lighting, a blanket that feels nice and soft. And I also like playing video games. I don't know, I find
Love
video games to
that.
be a vibe. I'm a very visual person. You know, I love graphic design. I love doing art. So actually a lot of my inspiration comes from video game designs, work, watching anime. I'm a big
Love
nerd.
it. Oh, I'm a
So
nerd. I'm with you, girl.
yeah. So you know, those are my little things in my introverted life. You know, it could be, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes for me it's a little more difficult and challenging because my social battery runs a little like lower than most people, I guess. But you know, I try to improve on that in many ways. The podcast has been, I feel like, has been helping me improve on, you know, communication. And hey, you know, it's okay to talk to other people. It's okay to
Yeah.
be open. It's okay. It'll be all right. You know, you could
Yes.
still be a little bit of an ambivert. You know, you could be extroverted and you could be, you know, introverted. You know,
I like
it's
that you
great.
said that. Actually, that's what I consider myself. One of those. Like I
No,
love
and
people, but I need my quiet moment. Like I can't do it
yeah,
every day.
Totally.
yeah.
Totally. I can say a little bit about both, where I am an extrovert, I would say, but I do need my alone time. I love it. I enjoy it. Nothing but tranquil vibes. And that's just who I am, you know, by nature. However, for my top three, I would say, just like Karen, mi cafecito. I love my morning coffee. Cafe Bustelo to be exact. I know exactly how I like it. I hear that. I just had my coffee before our meetup right now. But I love my morning coffee. And I have been doing this for years where I make my own coffee, whether I work from home now, but when I was going back into the office and commuting again, you just want to enjoy that time. And I love, having that first sip of my own coffee. I think one of the important things you mentioned, Karen, earlier on is finding the little things in the moment that bring you that pleasure. Coffee is definitely one of them. It's all about really your mindset. You can either be like, oh, I have to commute far for an hour or so, or you know what, let me enjoy this, put my favorite tunes on, sip on my favorite coffee. And it is all about transitioning that mindset and looking at it in a way where it's pleasing to you and having that pleasing feeling. It's necessary for sure
Yes.
in this world, especially when you're there starting to work. I would say, secondly, I mean, I love chocolate. I love chocolate. Just makes me happy. Sometimes I crave it. Sometimes it's just, hey, okay, it's there. Let me just have some chocolate. I tend to always have like chocolate or candy in my house. Always been that way just because, I get a little sweet tooth from time to time. So chocolate ice cream, whatever. I enjoy it.
I
Those
love
little
ice
guilty
cream.
pleasures. And lastly, I would say also to piggyback what you said, Karen, is just having like a hot shower. I
Mhm.
enjoy it. I'm a mom now. I'm totally busy during the day. So when everyone's asleep, I enjoy taking my hot showers, just having like that time for me. The house is quiet. I get to clean up on a few things, work on a few things, and definitely take that really nice shower before bedtime. It's just necessary. And I was debating like, oh, what should my top three be? But I stuck to these three because it can be a top everything list.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So many little things that bring joy and comfort. I will stick to these three at least.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important. It's again, I think we all mentioned that it's really tailored to who we are as people. And I think at the end of the day, that's what matters is that we're doing things that's for ourselves. It's not what others recommend or whatever's trending. And I really love that we're all staying very true to who we are.
I think we embody main character energy in our own worlds, and I think
Yes.
that's really important. Like we know who we are, and we incorporate these little things that bring us joy and bring us peace in a very fast moving world.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, because let's be honest, this fast paced moving world can drain you, it can exhaust you. And just to bring it back home and wheel it in is super
Mhm.
important, regardless of the routine or what the day brings at you or workload. It doesn't matter. Just bringing it back into home, your temple, is super important. And given that, we have Karen on here, I enjoy watching your content. I love how not only do you like capture like your lifestyle moments and you give back advice to your following, your captions, they breed positivity and self-reflection. You're setting a very nice example and tone for people to take note of that within themselves. So I
Beautiful.
truly
Wow.
enjoy that. What are some favorite quotes or words you live by that you would like to share to those listening?
Yeah, and I think for me this one was tough because I feel like I have so many. But if I had to choose one, I kind of took a little bit. I think we all heard, but I also added a little twist to it. So I think my favorite words to live by is your current environment doesn't dictate your future, but in the process, find those moments of joy, even in the mundane things or through hardships, because it will all serve its purpose in creating the life that you dream of. And for me, those are my words that I live in. So every time I'm going through not a good situation, I always have to remember that this current moment I'm living, this is not my future. It's just a human experience that I'm going through. And in
Mhm.
between that, while I resolve and remove those feelings or go through and try to resolve that challenge, I try to find, as we have been talking throughout the podcast, is finding those moments where I'm romanticizing to get myself out of that funk so that I could continue to build my dream and my future.
I feel that. I really love how real that you kept. Like you are a very, I can see a aspiring person and inspiring as well. And definitely important to have that pause in between when things don't go well. I feel like when I first moved out on my own, as little as 3 years ago, I had to kind of find that rebalance and adjustment leaving my family. So it was like, okay, how do we handle, things when things feel a little too stressful? So good to mention that little rebalance to kick us back up and get us, back to, hey, we still have goals to meet, but hey, we can also take this time to notice things. So closing, is there anything you would like to announce on behalf of Self-Care Lover or Romanticizing Life? And how may our listeners connect with you, whether it's social media, website, etc.?
Yeah, no, for sure. So I would say this is going to be a pretty big year for the brands. I know last year I wasn't able to do any personal events, but I did have a lot of, let's say, guest speakers to come on or a lot of inspiring women. This year, for sure, we're going to be doing two events. So one for sure, more closer to the summer, where it's more wellness focused. And again, with our small women owned shops on there as well. Actually, trying to do one more of an intimate for, let's say, anyone that has supported the brand in the past, kind of like to bring them in, share my gratitude towards everything that they've ever contributed, but that would be more internal. And then we definitely want to do one for the fall season, again, just to kind of close out the year. I think the theme this year is going to be on self discovery. I think this is such an important topic because I think one of the questions that I get a lot in the brand, it's like, or when I meet someone, person like Karen, like, how did you find yourself? How did you figure this out? Like, because they're like, I feel like I'm good on so many things, or maybe I don't know where to start. And I think it always starts with self discovery, self awareness. So I want to be able to bring a lot of subject matter experts, maybe in a panel discussion where they're sharing their journeys. And, I want it to be different. I want there to be corporate women, entrepreneurs. I want moms that are entrepreneurs. I want moms that are corporate entrepreneurs. I want it all because I feel that there's not a one size fits all of how to find that voice or find your space. And I think even with you ladies, embarking this journey with podcasts, you're also, and I learned this in one of the courses that I took a couple years ago with entrepreneurial, is that you're always trying to find your white space, right? I never believe that things are saturated. I feel like there's
Mhm.
always somebody has a space within whatever they're trying to do. And I think that you're always going to attract the people that are meant for your journey and what you're trying to build. So I definitely want to keep our listeners up to date that there is events coming through, more guest speakers. And also we have our Women's History Month, which is as Jennifer mentioned before, is my Sister in Success series that I like to bring on during that time to bring a lot of different women that are just killing it in their respective journeys or businesses or careers. And then how you can find me and my personal brand. So I am both on Instagram and on TikTok. So on Instagram is at Karen E. Santana. Self Care Lover. And on Instagram is at selfcarelover.co. And then on TikTok, it's Karen E. Santana with 3 underscores at the end. And for Self Care Lovers, Self Care Lover with 1 underscore at the end. And that's how you can keep up with the content, with the good moments on romanticizing self care or just lifestyle items. And then for Self Care Lover, we definitely share a lot of strategies, a lot of basic information that maybe you can adopt for yourselves. And I definitely look forward to connecting more with some of our listeners and just very grateful for this opportunity to be on here on Presente and sharing a little bit about me and my brand. So thank you ladies also for sharing the baton and having me a part of this great journey that you both are embarking as well.
Thank you for being here.
Yes. And it was nice to meet you. I'm really glad, Jennifer. Thank you for making this connection. First of all, I'm a huge fan of anything self care with any subtopic that falls under it. I love it. And I love learning more on ways on how it could help other people and amplify one's life. So thank you for sharing your business with us and for being here on Presente. It really does mean a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gisela.
Thank you, Karen. You are very inspiring. I love what you're doing. Keep
Mhm.
doing it. It's very nice to see like companion that is about uplifting others, letting people find that within themselves. For those of you who may or may not know, I have a candle business, light maintenance candles. And when I started that, that was my thing. Like, I want people to feel good. I want them to, let this be like a glimming light that they can, just kind of like reawaken after a long day or tough life
Mhm.
situations, similar to what Self-Care Lover is incorporating for people on their daily life. So I thank you so much for giving us all these pieces that make the full picture. Life can get
Mhm.
hard, but yet those little moments are what can make all the difference in just bringing back nurture and joy into ourselves. I look forward to your upcoming events. Please keep us in the loop with that.
You will.
Any
Yeah.
way that we can help, please let us know. We'd love to continue this conversation and not just talking about it, but living it and showing others that they can step into this wellness journey as well. Thank you, Karen.
100%.
Continue to be a shining light in all you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Yes,
ladies. I
thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you so much. And yes, I look forward to connecting and definitely going to keep you ladies in the loop for my upcoming event. So thank you again for having me and let's stay connected. Awesome. Hi, my name is Kara Santana. I am here with Presente Podcast.
Let's give some shout outs to Black owned businesses here on Presente for those who have made contributions to empower Black voices.
We would like to give a shout out to a few Black owned businesses and, of course, Black owned creators. So, the first creator that we would like to shout out to is Dime Galore, who I actually found on TikTok. So, since this is a topic about romanticizing life, let's show a little love to our pelo. And for those that don't know, pelo means your hair. Dime Galore is a Black business owner who shares ways to take care of your precious hair. She sells satin hair care products such as satin bonnets, scrunchies, and pillows. Her shop makes an impact because she says how satin bonnets is for everyone to wear. Her business is called the Bundle Bank, where you can get products separately or as a bundle. I recently did a purchase, and normally my hair looks okay-ish after 2 days of washing, but this morning I woke up with silky hair, and it was just from that one night of use, so I'm really excited. Totally recommend this, as regular cotton pillows can cause friction to your hair and may break you out. So again, her shop is called the Bundle Bank, and this is Dime Galore. You can also follow her on TikTok. And of course, we have to give a shout out to Tamika Burgess. She was our last guest here on Presente. The reason why we got to give this lovely creator a shout out is because Tamika Burgess is causing waves in the minds of young readers on educating them on the existence of Afro-Latinos. Her book, Sincerely Sicily, is not just for children, but adults. We can all learn to acknowledge the roots of the Afro-Latino communities. Just let it be known here on Presente that you are seen.
And to all our Presente listeners, you are beautiful, smart, resilient, and strong. You are so loved. Be kind to yourself and know amazing things await you.